why come in and raid and steal all their chips and stuff? I mean, I guess because you want the money because you're the government, obviously.
It's the PokerNews Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 948 of the PokerNews Podcast. This episode presented by WPT Global. I'm Chad Holloway, joined by Mike Holtz and Ben Ludlow at Level 9 Studio in Las Vegas. We've got a good show for you. We're going to update you on the latest involving The Lodge. That was our big story last week. Had several episodes on that. We will talk about a viral bust-out video that PokerNews captured, poker clocks, and Daniel Negreanu's thoughts on that. Phil Hellmuth Slowrolled. We've got some video footage of that. And then Poker World lost a very well-known player in David Sklansky. We'll talk about him towards the end of the episode. Ben, Mike, we are, as we're recording this, 2 weeks removed from the raid at the Lodge in Texas, Doug Polk's Poker Room. There hasn't been a lot of updates since we last recorded, but how are you guys feeling now that we've had a couple weeks perspective, if you will?
I mean, I am still, the big thing right now for me is the future. Obviously, Texas Card House and other houses have continued to run tournaments, but we've got a World Series of Poker circuit looming that's supposed to come up, and it was a big deal. It was their first time going to Texas. They partner with Texas Card House to do an event in Austin. They still haven't said anything about whether that's going to happen. Obviously, we just saw that Cyprus got canceled due to conflict in the Middle East and all that's going on over there. So I'm sure it's front of mind for everyone, and I know they're all probably a little nervous and trying to make a decision. So for me, I think that's going to be a big indicator when they come out and make a decision on that, on kind of what we should expect the next 3 or 4 months. If I was a betting man, would say that they're probably not going to do it, or like not going to have the event. And that would make sense to me. I hope they do, as a way to continue to support that community, and a way to, try and say, hey, look, everyone's operating above board in terms of what we thought was above board and that we should have it. But I would expect a cancel. I don't actually know anything, despite knowing people at the World Series, and I don't think they would say anything. But that's my theory, is that we're probably going to get that. But like you said, we haven't had many updates, and they've continued to run events in Texas. Like, I know I'll
say a couple things real quick and then turn to you, Mike. I do think they'll run it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why here in a moment. I'll dive into a theory about the raid and what's going on with the Lodge, because I don't think it's about poker. I think it's about something else. I'll get to it in a minute, but okay. You'll hear my speculation, my theory on that.
Why not now, before we give our opinions? Why don't you inform us?
Okay, well,
maybe we'll give a better opinion. I don't know.
All right, let's do that. But before I do that, I do want to say, because you mentioned Texas Card House, TCH, Ryan Crow, the CEO of Texas Card House, reached out to PokerNews. He wants to come on the podcast. So I don't know if that'll be next week or the week after, but he wants to come on, talk about the situation that's happening in Texas. And yeah, told him, yeah, let's do it. So we're going to try to arrange that. So something to look forward to. So, all right, my theory on what is going on with the Texas raid and what potentially this could be about, right? So I had a conversation with a source, nobody associated with the Lodge. I will say that, but it just somebody who is very knowledgeable on such matters, and was told that this probably isn't about poker at all, right? We're all talking about the legality of poker. I've written about it, about the gray area in which it operates. Is this the authorities' attempts to shut that down? And I'm not so sure anymore. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. What I think this actually is now, and this has been about, is banking. Specifically, the Bank Secrecy Act, the BSA. I did a lot of research on this since I've kind of went down this trail, and so FinCEN is known as the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, right? FinCEN. They are part of the Treasury Department. You have FinCEN here, you have the IRS here. They operate under the same umbrella, but as two different entities. Well, FinCEN, in, I believe it was 2011, raided a poker card room in California. It was the Oaks Card Club.
Yeah.
And so they raided
Northern
it.
California, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Very similar to the raid that took place at the Lodge. They went through years of court litigation, and in December of 2015, they announced, there was a press release about this from FinCEN. The headline is, FinCEN's first card club enforcement action leads to $650K settlement with California's Oaks Card Club, right? So what that was all about was violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. Essentially, when you get to a certain level, you're treated like a bank. In the Bank Secrecy Act, it says when it comes to card rooms, that card rooms with an annual gaming revenue of over 1 million are classified as a financial institution under the Bank Secrecy Act. So they must file and comply with CTRs, which are currency transaction reports, for anything over 10K, SARs, which are very important, the suspicious activity reports that are aimed at preventing money laundering. There's other things under these BSA requirements. So my question, and I don't know this, it's speculation at the point, but how closely was the lodge actually enforcing and following these rules, these requirements under the Bank Secrecy Act? Look, I love Doug Polk. I love, this was a poker room that came up from poker players. So it just makes me wonder, were they familiar with everything that they needed to be doing? And if not, I think this is, the Oaks Card Club 2.0, if you will. Thoughts on that theory?
I'm like trying to digest it. I suppose that could be what it is, right? I mean, what like, I just don't see though, like why not alert them of the fact that they're not doing correctly? Why come in and raid and steal all their chips and stuff? I mean, I guess because you want the money because you're the government, obviously. I think I don't know. That would be very wild if that is what happened. I don't want to speculate one way or the other as far as like, did Doug and the crew correctly file their stuff? All I know is that the current president made a meme coin and rug pulled it as soon as he came into office, but we're in there raiding card clubs. That's cool, man. I don't know. To me, it seems like this. If that's the case, couldn't this have been handled differently? But I mean, maybe they have to get on top of it in case it actually is something. I don't know, man. It seems pretty sketchy. But I guess we'll have to find out more details and see. Has anyone at Poker News spoken to the lodge people about this?
No, I mean, like everything's pretty mum at the moment. There hasn't been a lot of talk. Doug Polk and the lodge are under advisement from their legal counsel not to say anything. Poker News did try to pay a visit to the Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, the TABC, I think it is. And unfortunately, when my colleague John Sofin went to their office, they said that you need to make an appointment well in advance. So that was not a walk in and talk to somebody. But I've reached out, because I was curious. You've seen in the original statement from the TABC that it was a raid conducted by some state authorities, and it did say IRS agents, which I reached out to the FinCEN and trying to get clarification. Were these IRS agents or were they FinCEN agents? Because that could make a very big difference. So again, this is all speculation, but my source told me that this is maybe a trail that you want to sniff out a little bit. So I did start doing my research, and man, the parallels are certainly there, Ben, especially if you are familiar with the Oaks raid from 2011. I mean, we're talking 15 years ago. That was the first ever time that FinCEN pursued a card room. There's been some others since then. So this, I don't know, there's just a lot of overlap that I'm seeing between those raids and what happened at the lodge.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just can't get over the fact that we have IRS agents. I just love the idea of someone with like a machine gun and like a tactical vest with IRS on it. Can you imagine? Be like, all right, buddy. All right, buddy. I know, it's just got to be embarrassing if you're that guy. I think, yeah, that could totally be the case. I think no matter what, whether it is poker that's the major factor, whether it's the liquor license, whether it's the fact that they are, by the definition of this FinCEN thing, a bank and not reporting correctly, whatever it is, someone's making an example.
Wouldn't this have been in the affidavit though?
Not necessarily. So the affidavit could be the foot in the door, right? They're like playing their cards to their chest. They're going in under the guise of these violations that were kind of listed in the affidavit when their real goal is over here, right? But so they can garner the computers and the servers, et cetera, et cetera.
The evidence they need, yeah.
That's why they haven't, not that I'm not saying that's why. That could potentially be why they haven't filed any charges yet. There has been no, legal action since the actual raid.
It does seem like charges end up coming a couple weeks after in a situation like this, generally, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, weeks, months, potentially longer. Like I said, the Card Club was raided in 2011. It was over 4 years later that the actual settlement took place. So I will say one of the things that leads me to kind of believe that there could be some legs under this Bank Secrecy Act and FinCEN stuff is, why not in the other rooms? Why have none of the other rooms been raided or shut down? It seems very specific and very targeted. So,
it would take a massive operation to raid all of them, right? I mean, they had to do all this stuff just to raid the lodge.
Yeah, I feel like TCH is the other obvious choice, given the fact that how big they are and that they're obviously like the same exact type of room as the lodge. But there's so many more. I mean, they're a bigger entity. You know, they've got more rooms, they've got more things going on. So, and this is higher profile in theory. I'm excited to talk to the CEO and get more into that, because I'm sure he has some opinions as well and kind of some thoughts as well, and can probably give us some insight. And I don't want to ask too much, but insight into their banking and kind of how they manage all that, because unless there's a lot to incriminate himself on the podcast.
There's a lot underneath the Bank Secrecy Act, right? I mentioned CTRs, currency transaction reports. There's suspicious activity reports, SARs. There are certain record-keeping requirements. That certain transactions, you have to keep records for 5 years. There's compliance programs according to this. Like, your institution has to have internal policies, procedures, controls in place, foreign accounting reports, the FBARs. So like this is all stuff I was very naive to and learned as I've been researching this. And there is, look, I'm speculating, there is a chance that Doug Polk and company and everybody involved with the lodge was doing all this, and this has nothing to do with it. But there is, like I said, this theory out there that if this stuff wasn't being done, this could very well be the case of what's going on. We're just going to have to wait and see right now, unfortunately. But I did think it was an interesting theory. And like I said, the more I dug into it, the more I thought it had legs and could see it potentially being the case. I'm going to keep digging on it. And, hopefully we can get somebody to chat with us, whether that's somebody at the lodge, whether it's somebody with the Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, or maybe even FinCEN or the IRS. I don't know. But I will say that if you look at the examples that we have, like if this is FinCEN related in the Oak Card Club, that was years long.
Yeah.
If you look at the poker raid in Watauga with Joe V. I don't want to butcher your last name. His was a years long process, and the lodge is still currently closed. There's no end in sight to that. Hey everybody, Chad here, chiming in. After we recorded the episode initially, we got an update from the lodge via an email that was sent to employees on Tuesday. So 2 weeks after the raid on March 10th, the club had remained closed, and one of the owners, Jason Levin, sent an email to employees letting them know that unfortunately the entire staff, 200 plus, was being laid off, and that the club itself was going to shut its doors for the foreseeable future. Part of the statement in the email, thanked the staff, talked about the relationships that were built, that it was painful to make the decision, but, quote, while no charges have been brought and we maintain that the club has always operated with the utmost integrity and within the laws of Texas, the Williamson County District Attorney's Office has made clear to our attorneys that they believe the lodge's current business model does not comply with Texas law. For this reason, we cannot reopen. Doing so would run the risk that authorities might once again raid the lodge, seize more cash and assets, and potentially make arrests. As a result, we are forced to make the incredibly difficult decision to let our entire staff go. We hope you know just how valued each of you are, and as we hope for a favorable outcome, should we be able to once again open our doors, our plan would be to welcome you back with open arms. It is a sad day, sad news, sad development for the staff, their families, of course, who are now out of work, and that the lodge, while they sound like they hope to reopen, there's no plan, no timeline currently. It doesn't sound like authorities are being very open with them, with information. Unfortunately, PokerNews has reached out to the TABC, has reached out to the FinCEN to try to get a bit more details and, just any update on, is there any sort of statement, any sort of charges coming that can inform the public, inform the employees. But yeah, as of right now, it's the lodge shutting its doors. And the longer it goes on, it's less and less likely that it will reopen, right? They have a space that they rent, bills, vendors, et cetera, and the longer something is closed and those expenses continue on, it just usually is not a favorable outcome. And as we've mentioned, these sort of things, if history is any indication, takes months, if not years. So obviously the backlash against the authorities has been strong from the poker community, who are also expressing their sadness that one of their favorite places to play, one of the most popular card rooms, over the better part of a decade, is, at least for now, no more. Let us talk about this viral bust-out hand that PokerNews captured. PokerNews was on site at the PokerStars Open Philadelphia. It was in their main event. I think Connor Richards, our boy here at the podcast, was there, and he captured this three-way hand between Jordan Ludwig, Michael Ciarlanti, and Angel Lopez. We've got some video of it. Check it out.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That really just happened again? That really happened again? Bro, all day, that's it. I'm supposed to have $450,000.
Oh, card down. It's down.
How the just bubbled the toe? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. When did you draw? I had both you beat the whole time. I had a pair of sevens with the nut flush draw. He had 9, 10 diamonds. He had the same draw. He had a 9.
Oh, you want the C cards? Yeah, hold on.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Angel, how big was that pot? A lot. That was like 500K, right? Oh my God.
All right, so there you have it. What a reaction. I got to say that an overreaction, yes, for me, but I actually like that kind of stuff, right? I'm tired of this, people pulling mystery bounties for 6 figures and not having any reaction. This guy gets rivered and goes off like this. I find it entertaining. What do you guys think?
It's cool stuff, man. I'm with it. I like seeing the exciting shit,
Yeah, I love it. I mean, look, I think we all are in this spot where, we deserved to, win that hand. Oh God, I was such a heavy favorite. How I'm dominating. He had to hit the exact, 9 of that suit kind of thing for that to win. But
you hear that, Kirk Brown?
Yeah, Jesus. But it's fucking gambling, guys. So no, yeah. But I love the emotion. I think. He was a little bit much, but we've all been there. It's painful, man. I mean, God, poker tournaments are, Mike has never once complained about beating his life. He's
I just win that.
Stoic.
I just win that spot. I've never lost that spot before.
Yeah. He's like, I had a flush draw too. What? You see that? Look, I had a pair and a flush draw.
I do want to correct myself. It was my boy Josh Noy who actually caught the hand.
Got it. Well, Connor Richards is everywhere all the time, so it's an easy mix-up.
Yeah, Connor is definitely out there. So it was Jordan Ludwig, a New Jersey-based sports betting content creator that was involved in the hand.
Oh, God, I love sports betting content creators. They're great for society. Anyway.
Use code Mike on Kalshi, by the way.
Yeah. He did talk to PokerNews about it. It was after playing for 13 hours. It was on the soft bubble. It was a chip leader pot, so a lot at stake in that particular hand, I suppose. But definitely a viral moment that came out of that PokerStars Open Philadelphia main event.
Yeah, I feel like this is the standard kind of moment we saw a million times in the WSOP from 03 to 07, and now everyone's so damn stoic. So it's nice to see a moment again where it's kind of just an old school feeling, an old school show of emotion.
I've retracted all my statements. I think it was a show of something to get more interest in his sports betting.
Hey,
Instagram.
And it's working.
Yeah,
if it takes losing a chip lead pot like that and bitching on the internet, then hey.
Oh, that was a chip lead pot?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe it was genuine then.
I mean, he said it was a Shipley pot. Who knows?
Yeah.
It probably wasn't. But.
The PokerStars Open Philadelphia $1,100 main event got 896 runners. Was won by Mike Linster for $126,000.
126.
Mm-hmm. It looks like second was 80K to Michael Klein, Jason Raber 56K, 41K for 4, 31K. So looks like the payouts were fairly kind.
2x min cash or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6x min cash, but no pay jumps for the next 89,000 people.
WSOP.com.
Let's talk about Triton Poker, specifically Triton Tempo. This is a new introduction that they made involving the tournament clock, shot clock, if you will, making it more like a chess clock. They put out a little video to explain it more. Check it out.
At Triton, we always try to evolve the game, making the player experience enhanced at every stop. This is Triton Tempo, a fully networked chess clock system pushing the boundaries of live poker tournaments. When action is on you, your name, your seat, and your grace time instantly light up for the whole table to see clearly. Triton Tempo puts the time management directly into players' hands. It's an entirely granular system of time back. If you need 2 extra seconds to think about it, you don't need to waste 30-second time back. You want to use the lollipop for 2 seconds? Then we'll save it for you. We also reward the early bird and the deep runs. Similarly to the POI system, the earlier you show up, the more points you get. Here, the more time bank you'll get. And if you go on a deeper run, we'll add some seconds. Final table, late registration, redraw, we're gonna add seconds. Every player time bank balance is always visible, either when it's up to them on these beautiful clocks, on the Triton Poker Plus app at all time. All the players will know if you're on the clock or if you have time to burn. Because the Triton Tempo network tracks every second of the action. We are collecting data, analyze it, and we further enhance the experience of the players, maybe even for different formats. The evolution of the game is here. This is Triton Tempo.
So there you have it, Triton Tempo. Mike, Ben, you guys a fan of this? Essentially a chess clock in poker.
Yeah, it's the sickest shit ever. Every tournament of worth should have these at some point. They're fantastic. Poker players have been clamoring for chess clocks forever. They are the best way to do a clock. I think every online site should have one on final tables, and I think that every live tournament should at least have final table ones, if not like the last 3 tables. I think it's vastly superior to the giving people 6 time banks, 5 time banks, and then dealing with that, whereas we can just easily click something and then it allows play to continue at a normal pace. And then when you actually need 3 minutes in a hand, like for me, for example, I play fast. I'm a quick player. But 3 or 4 times a tournament, I might need 3 or 4 minutes. Not that much. Yeah, I said that. That's not true. That's a lie.
3 or 4 times a tournament.
No, that's a lot.
What,
I'm thinking.
stupid?
I was thinking. Yeah, I'm not very smart. I was thinking more. Yeah. Multiple times a tournament, I might need a river decision where I need a minute and a half, 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And my overall time will be less than everybody else's. But without the chess clock, I'm losing all my time banks before everyone else. So I think this is a much better decision. I think it makes the game much quicker, and I think it gives everyone a very equal playing field. And it stops if you've played a tournament where there's time banks, you'll notice this. I'm a firm believer that it takes longer to get to the bubble after you add time banks, because everyone starts, you got 15 seconds before you have to spend a time bank. Everyone just starts spending the whole 15 seconds.
Yeah. And if you're really short, you should probably.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you're creating a situation where like, hey, I don't want to take 15 seconds, but I'm going to because I should. Triton obviously has some of the best in terms of staff, in terms of dealers. Like, this is the perfect place to test it and see if this works.
Right.
But I think to Mike's point, and even that's what Negreanu and Hellmuth said about it too, where they were like, yeah, look, I play fast 95% of the time, but we're all going to need 3 minutes in some enormous spot at a final table at the end of the tournament. And if you've earned that time because of, being fast in other cases, it's great. And I also think like recreational players get a little... They don't love time banks as much as we do. I think some of them do,
I hate time banks.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. But like having a timed aspect to poker, and I think that everyone can agree that this makes sense. It's a little harder or a little more nerve wracking when you're in a big decision and you like look down and you've got 2 time banks left, as opposed to this clock of time that you've earned by whatever. It kind of smooths everything out. And I mean, maybe in 3 years this will be the norm, but the biggest issue has always been logistics, having the iPads, having the dealers that can handle it. So
you guys are going to be shocked at my take. This is going to be shocking. You guys are going to be very surprised here.
I'm sure.
I agree completely with Ben. The WSOP needs to hire better dealers who can work an iPad. Ben, you're
put words in my mouth.
Dude, they can't even work an iPad. Yeah, get some better dealers, man. Hire them a month out. What are you talking about? You guys
there's a bunch of dealers from Texas who are really good who
and
need
they
jobs.
better hire them, because I swear to God, if I go there and I get multiple dealers this year again who don't speak English, I'm going to win the whole summer.
Reception to the Triton Tempo was overwhelmingly positive. Mustafa Kanit, Noah Schwartz, Jeremy Osmus, all supporting it on social media. So, test it out at Triton, see how it goes. I think this one will have legs, if you can implement it on a larger scale, I don't know, but you certainly can on Triton, PokerGo Studio, some of the bigger events like at the Win and whatnot. But it seems like a good development for poker. Ben, you mentioned Phil Hellmuth. I was watching Hellmuth's home game, which is sponsored by Bet Rivers. Shout out to Keith Becker, with whom I co-host the Table Talk Bet Rivers podcast that we just released a new episode with guest Dr. Dan Schill. Check that out on the PokerNews YouTube channel right now. But on Hellmuth's home game, Hellmuth was involved in it was a 25-50 no limit hold'em cash game, but there's often a straddle or double straddle. Texas Mike was in the game. He was being a wild man. And there was this one hand in particular where Hellmuth limped with jacks. Texas Mike, of course, raised it. And
Texas
Kelly,
Mike had like 9-4 off or something too.
Yeah. Well, he had ace-3, which for him was off, which was a good hand. And I'll show the hand here in just a second. But and then Kelly Lucas, formerly Kelly Minkin, had pocket kings in the straddle. She just limped, which ended up getting Hellmuth to jam all in for almost $5,000. Mike folded, Texas Mike folded, and then Kelly Minkin, Kelly Lucas now went for the slow roll. Check it out.
100 to go.
Texas knows all the terms.
You know all the terms, Texas? You been studying some charts?
No.
Charts.
I need to.
Raise to 500.
It's a pipe dream of ours.
That, by the way, is what those guys who study all the charts say. I know all the hustles. Some of those guys that say, like, oh, I hate the charts. Like, I never snooked at a chart. Yeah, they're like down in the basement.
All in.
Basement. All in.
Oh.
What do you have, Phil?
49.75.
You want to call or you want to fold?
No, it depends whether you have a pair or not.
I could see Texas Mike
Call.
in cahoots
I wanted to
with
call.
some nerds.
What do we need?
All right, go twice.
Slow roll.
I did not see the slow roll coming.
No, the last session she slow rolled me too.
Yeah.
She called a big raise.
She was slow rolling. It's
She
fun.
beat my
like-
aces last time.
I haven't seen Kelly at Phil's game recently.
I did not see that.
Wow.
How do you trap Phil?
I don't know.
Try to trap Texas.
He was already trapping.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
She gets
think
me.
Kelly-
She gets me no matter what.
Oh, you
I
doing
felt the
vice?
bull.
What did you have?
Ace 3.
No.
Wow, you had 2 pair.
Yeah. Of hearts?
Phil has the jacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I limped under the gun.
Jennifer, you
so
gonna call out the
happy.
card here in the river? For
What?
Phil? You gonna call out the card?
You should have waited for a better spot, Phil.
Go ahead. Hey,
I'm Phil Hellmuth. I always have it. What can I do? You know.
yes.
So there you have it, Kelly Lucas. I mean, this wasn't a Benny Glauser, Eric Wasserson sort of slow roll in the WSOP Paradise super main event. This was friendly Hellmuth's home game. I don't know. There wasn't as much malicious intent, in my opinion. Ben, what'd you think?
Yeah. I mean, it was 5K, and that was kind of not that much for the table. But if there's ever a time to slow roll Hellmuth and not get much of a reaction, it's here. It's Kelly Minkin. It's in this spot. She should have waited a little longer. I really think she should have committed to a bit. She waited like 15, 20 seconds. She's like, oh, do you want to call Phil? I don't know. What do you think? I think she should have just like gotten up, walked around, like really acted like she had a decision. I don't know what hand that would be, like 10s, I guess, 9s. You're like, oh, fuck, what do I do? Ace, queen suited. But yeah, I mean, anytime we can get some more emotion out of our boy, Philip Hellmuth the third. Wait, Philip?
No, the second.
The
Junior.
second.
Phil Hellmuth Jr.
Oh, so his son is Trip the third. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Anytime
P3. I think he goes by. I think he called himself P3.
P3 is a sick nickname. That's
Stop it right now. First off, he said he called himself P3.
Oh.
You do not get to name yourself.
You know what, Phil Hellmuth III, I got your back. I'll say that I was the one who came up with P3. Yeah. You can tell everyone I did.
P3 is the Lunchables, right?
Yeah, dude, it's a protein-based Lunchables. Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to be named after a protein-based Lunchables? What are you, crazy?
That's not the first time you wanted to put Phil Hellmuth's meat in your mouth.
All right, yeah, that's fair. I love meats.
Me too.
Yeah, but I think we got to. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, the more we can slow roll Phil Hellmuth, the better it is for our podcast.
I agree. I honestly think no, and I'm the whole time you're talking, I'm just having a daydream of me hemming and hauling with aces, and then calling on the river, and then walking to his seat and just breaking wind right in his face. And then I asked the dealer, "What do you think, a round?"
What do you think, a round? Wait, penalty? I'll just go take 4 hands off. It's fine.
I'm with it.
Look, a self-imposed penalty. Yeah, but look, it's always nice to see Hellmuth in these more. I mean, obviously, we want to see him playing the highest stakes and in the biggest tournaments and all this stuff. But it's always fun to kind of see a jovial home game environment like this, and so it's good.
Let us talk about the passing of David Sklansky. I actually think I broke the story earlier this week. I had heard, it was about 2 weeks ago, that I had heard he was in ill health, probably didn't have much time. And then on Monday, got a call that, he's got maybe days left. He was in hospice. And then it was like hours later where I got official word that he had passed away at the age of 78. Heart failure, from what I was told. Now, David Sklansky, of course, been around for many decades. He's written, I think, 18 poker/gambling books, none more popular than The Theory of Poker, which was published in 1978. Game-changing book, without a doubt. At the time, he did contribute a chapter in Doyle Brunson's Super System. He's a 3-time WSOP bracelet winner.
My favorite is he won the mixed doubles 1K stud. Like, what a great event.
Sick.
It was in 1982. He won 2 bracelets, but they weren't bracelets back then. They were actually watches that year. I did a whole article about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell a story about that here in a bit, because I did meet up with him in Vegas. But look, David Sklansky was a very controversial person in the poker world. He was not without his controversies, if you will. Was it Brandy Hallbecker? This was before my time, in like 2007, 2008 time period, but there was a whole drama there. OnlyFriends has done a whole show about it. Creep and, pervert are a couple words that have been bantered about when it comes to him. Mike, I know you have some strong feelings.
Oh, man. Listen, it's one of those things where it's like, Harvey Weinstein produced Pulp Fiction. I love Pulp Fiction. Harvey Weinstein, giant piece of shit. Same thing here. Theory of Poker, monumental for poker. He did a lot of stuff for poker that's positive. Also, a sexual predator to young women, telling people to kill themselves on public forums, and then they do. I would encourage anyone who wants to hear about the things David Sklansky did to check out the OnlyFriends podcast about Brandy. What's her last name?
Hallbecker.
Hallbecker.
Yeah, I was shocked. There's receipts. There's messages on forums. It's shocking stuff. And yeah, David Sklansky did a lot of stuff for poker in the early days. He certainly helped contribute to the landscape that made poker flourish. But at the end of the day, man, that guy was a creepy, creepy man.
Yeah.
His nickname was the Mathematician. So I actually met up with David Sklansky for the first time a couple years ago. It was when the Super Bowl was in Las Vegas. He had these 2 watches from the 1982 WSOP. They gave away 14 of them that year, and I think only his 2 exist, maybe a couple others. But it was a very interesting part of poker history that I wanted to learn more about. So I met up with him, met up at the Stratosphere at I think it's a Starbucks there, and had a great conversation for several hours. You know, we talked about the bracelets, history stuff in poker, the Poker Hall of Fame, because on paper, with what he's contributed and been around, like you would think he would be in the Poker Hall of Fame, but you remember one of the criteria is the respect of your peers, and I don't think he quite had that. Maybe at any point in the 40, 50 years that he was in the game. That being said, it was interesting because I left there thinking that he had a very big superiority complex.
Yes.
Right? There was a prime example that stuck with me. It was, we were sat there and a table next to us, a old football player, can't remember his name at the time, but he was a Hall of Famer. He had
O.J. Simpson.
No, it wasn't a guy like a household name, but like I looked him up afterwards. He was like played for the Chiefs in the 60s, 70s, something like that. But the point being was he was over there, had like his jacket on, had his big rings. Was carrying like a helmet. He was just getting a coffee.
Carrying a helmet.
Carrying whatever football activities were going on. But
Did
people
you dream
noticed
this?
it.
That'd be amazing.
No, this is
If I was a football Hall of Famer, I would get a helmet on.
7
He
foot
wasn't
8.
wearing the helmet. He was carrying it like he signed it or something.
Just
Yeah,
the
right?
idea of someone carrying a helmet around.
I'm
just so
imagining the
everyone
Rio.
knows.
Anyway, yeah.
It's awesome.
He started getting attention. The football player did. People recognized him, came up, taking pictures. And like I clocked Sklansky looking at this and like seeing him get jealous, kind of, that he wasn't the one that was getting recognized or the one that was getting the attention. And he had a very awkward moment where he basically interrupted the conversation between the fans and the football players, and something along the lines of, "Oh, you like that gold ring? Well, I've got these 2 gold bracelets over here," and like tried to.
Dear
it
God,
it was so
no chance.
Tough.
Oh, it was. Oof. And I was just sitting there. It was so awkward and cringeworthy, and like in that moment, I feel like I understood the kind of person that David Sklansky was. But you know, he was gracious with his time. He did, share a lot of poker history. As I mentioned, he's written a lot of books.
A narcissist was happy to talk about themselves. Who knew?
Yeah, right.
But I mean, to your point, Chad, I feel like if you've played poker in Las Vegas in the last 5 or 10 years, you've seen Sklansky lurking around. Like he
is a lurker too.
He's such a lurker. He walks around the World Series waiting for someone to come up to him, and he hadn't looked great in a long time. So this all kind of tracks, and RIP ish.
Yeah, and I will say, based on the reactions that I've seen on social media, right, like 99.8% of the larger poker world has no idea of Sklansky's past that we kind of just highlighted. They haven't seen the Only Friends podcast. So to them, a lot of them, were very sad to see his passing.
Yeah, people are learning about it today,
Right. They were sad because they learned the game through the theory of poker, or that book had such an impact on them. So there are a lot of people in the poker world that are like this, by the way, and maybe not to the scale of Sklansky in terms of what's behind the curtain, but a lot of poker players who you might think are heroes or have this great reputation, if you peel back the curtain a lot, there's definitely some skeletons behind there.